Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a book review on Gemina by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. Fun fact, I actually filmed this book review about a year ago and I just recently found it and I was going through it and I hated it. I thought about just posting it, but after going through it I realized no, I really don't like it. It's like 23 minutes of me rambling for a non-spoiler review, which is crazy. So I decided that I'm going to read you my book review on it. If you don't know, this is the second book in the Illuminae files by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I ended up giving this book a 5 out of 5 stars. I loved this book so much, and also I will leave the link to my Illuminae files review down below if you're interested in checking it out. Now this review will be spoiler free, so no worries, you won't get spoiled. It is young adult science fiction and we're pretty much picking up where we left off in Illuminae. Now if you haven't read Illuminae, you will be spoiled, so just kind of beware. So if you haven't read Illuminae, I would stop the video now, go read it, and then come back. So at the end of Illuminae, Caddy and Ezra are able to escape kind of Bitech, and they are now on their way to the Hemdall space jump station. So Gemina starts up at Hemdale while the Hypatia is on its way with Caddy and Ezra, and we are following Hannah and Nick. Hannah is the captain's daughter and Nick is an illegal passenger. So Bitech knows that the Hypatia or Hypatia, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, is on its way to Heimdall, and so they have sent a bunch of assassins to the jump station to take over while they're waiting for the Hypatia to arrive. So that is pretty much the quick synopsis of the story. I love Hannah and Nick so much. Nick is probably one of my favorite characters. Caddy and Nick so far are my favorite characters. I absolutely love them, and I love the plot so much in Gemina. I love the plot in Illuminae, but in Gemina, I felt like it was easier to follow, especially since there wasn't so much world building. In Illuminae, we're getting introduced to the world, we're getting introduced to the format, and it's a lot to it's a little bit of a learning curve. So in Gemina, we already know the format. We know that it is set in like video surveillance and schematics and different emails and stuff like that. Not to mention, Gemina isn't as wordy as Illuminae was. There are a lot more pages of like messages, there's more pictures and diary entries, there's just not as much like video surveillance. I was able to read it much quicker than I did Illuminae. Another thing that I really love that some people may not love as much is that it is a lot more science heavy. But I love that. I love science. I love space. Is one of my favorite settings for science fiction. So to me, I didn't find a problem with that, and I think it just enhanced the story. Now, if you aren't like huge science fan and you don't know much about space, that is okay because they explain it very well, and you don't have to know all of the terminology and you don't have to know everything that they talk about to understand the story. Now, kind of going along with the plot of Gemina, it is just so much more surprising and shocking, and there's a little more violence in this one than there was in Illuminae, so kind of beware. It's not like overly graphic or violent, but a lot more people die than in Illuminae, and also just there's a lot more aspects that are very shocking, which I loved. I loved how the story took a turn at the end. I wasn't expecting it to turn out the way it was, and I wasn't expecting the twist at all, and it definitely it got me by surprise, and I loved that. Now, going on to the characters, I mentioned this a little bit. I love the characters so much. Hannah is so fierce and strong, and she's like such a badass, and she's a fighter, and she's such a great character. Whereas Nick is just, he's really sarcastic, and he kind of like has this like macho persona, but in reality he's kind of a softie. But his sarcasm is hilarious, and I love it so much, and that's what makes Nick and Hannah such a great team, because Hannah is like the daughter of the captain, and Nick is part of a gang and he like is undocumented and illegal and shouldn't be on Heimdall. So they just make such a great team and I love their interactions together. Oh, another thing that I wanted to mention with the plot is that it never stops. There's always something happening. So like the main story is, you know, we're trying to escape Bitech. Okay, but then in Illuminae, like there was, you know, the whole problem with Aiden. Now in this one, there is something else going on. I'm not going to say what it is, but there is something else internally happening in like Heimdall, along with the fact that they are trying to, you know, like fight for their lives and there's all these assassins everywhere and it's crazy just how much just the story never stops. It's just one thing happens after another and the plot just keeps moving, and that's what made the pacing go by so quickly because you want to know what happens next. There was just no dull moment in this book. So I think that pretty much is all that I really have to say on Gemina. The fact that it's amazing, 5 out of 5 stars. Science fiction, I love the space element, the characters are fantastic, not to mention the detail. What I love so much in these story is just the detail, it never ceased to surprise me. Like for example, okay, so this is like a chat room page and we have pretty much the chat here, and on the side it talks about your friends that are online. So if you remember like when you go online on chat rooms, it'll tell you who else is online, and then it tells you your news feed and your diary and appointments, and it's got just like the temperature, the date, the time, your location. It is just so cool. Like the amount of detail put into every single page is so fantastic. Like for example, right here, you've got another kind of instant message chat, and you've got the username, the password, the login. At the very, very corner, you can see there's like a plus, a minus, and an X sign, the timestamp, the date, just everything is really, really, really detailed. It's the attention to the detail that they put in this book that really just brought it above and beyond as a story. Okay, well, those are all of my thoughts on Gemina by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I highly recommend it. If you enjoyed Illuminae, then I think you are going to love Gemina. It was so great. It was a fantastic sequel. It did not have that second book sequel. You know, like sometimes the second book can lack a lot of like substance and plot and characters and stuff. Well, this definitely didn't do that. It was fantastic and I highly recommend it. I really hope you enjoyed this book review. Let me know down below if you've read it, if you loved it, and I will see you next time in another video. Bye!